Let's open it up. I think there's a bunch of different questions and we'll do our best to answer them. Can you have an affiliation with any organization? Yes, we absolutely. So this is a pilot. This is a test. We are living innovation and ideation together with you. We are open to exploring how this works out. So you do not have to be affiliated with the program. If you have a great idea that will help people, we want to help you develop. That's part of our role as both universities, institutions. We're here to develop ideas, to train people, to teach people, to support this type of thinking. So you do not actually have to be a student or a faculty member. You do not have to be related to any one of the sort of four institutions that are here. If you are part of a different institution, that's perfectly fine. What we are leveraging is some of the expertise that the various institutions bring to the table in terms of research, in terms of education, in terms of sort of our faculty and some of our resources, in order to be able to sort of help support you in developing your ideas.
And Joseph, would it be accurate to say that you don't need to be associated to any academic institution whatsoever? You could just be an individual with an idea. Is that correct?
Yes. Look, we want to support people developing ideas, period, that help people. Could you provide of the ideation stage, for instance? Okay, so the ideation stage. So ideation is essentially coming up with a testable idea. It's not like a brainstorm where you just throw everything out. Being able to come up with as many ideas as possible and then shape them into something that you can test and improve iteratively is part of this whole challenge and part of the whole process. So our goal is to try and work with people who have lived experience, who provide us with insights and into what the needs are in this space, so we can come up with ideas or take existing ideas and move them forward towards presentation to funders. I see another question. How is the market for all these technologies? Because they seem to be expensive based on their technology and probably not affordable for many people with SCI.
Can I jump in on this one, Joseph?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is something we definitely work with every day. So the short answer is yes. That's why there's been issues in getting the right products at the right time to the right people. There are some issues around market sizing, traditional market sizing, and accessibility. You know, one thing that John always tells me, you know, the household income of most individuals with SCI is below, you know, it's around 40K or lower. So that's the problem we're trying to solve. And the way we do that is, one, every product that you're going to be developing here, yes, it's working with people with spinal cord injury, but there's a lot of adjacent conditions, whether, you know, brain injury or MS, or cerebral palsy. If you look at, okay, can this be applicable for SCI, but what are adjacent markets? We really solve that solution. So the technologies that we've seen that have been really effective, like Braze and a few others, they are very consumer-centric and consumer-focused. They understand the nuances between the different conditions, but they're solving a common problem. So that's one way to get around it. Two, there's a great opportunity to create prototypes that are low cost. You know, the Active Hands example, for example, what John shared, it's not an expensive device, but it has had transformative impacts on people's independence. So really thinking through what's a cheap, accessible prototype that is going to create the benefit without creating this very expensive product that is difficult to access. So one of the things, you know, as judges of the competition is we're going to look at accessibility, and we're looking at how you're addressing that through your size of market, but to the cost of your design or the future cost of your design going forward.
Okay, so the question of someone has put forward, do we need research ethics? So this is an ideation, early stage ideation to commercialization challenge. It is not really intended for publications per se, and it is not really intended to deliver drugs in a controlled environment for people. So if there are innovations that you are working on that do test on human live subjects, you will need to have your institutional REBs and approvals. The rules apply in terms of what a institution you're with. For the purposes of this challenge, we are helping you refine your ideas into prototypes and test and demonstrate them. We're not looking at sort of the research ethics board submissions or type research. So we do, the people that are living with SCI, we will do our best to connect you with people. Praxis has been amazing to try and connect with people in their networks and people who have lived experience, and that both in terms of people who may want to express their needs, but also be co-creators, inventors, innovators themselves. And so part of the challenge, these are the things we will support. Part of our budget is allocated potentially to working with and compensating people that work with our teams to better develop their ideas. Are people at Praxis looking at working with government ministries, things listed within the publicly funded system?
I can take that. Absolutely. In fact, Praxis is predominantly government funded. So WD, one of our key sponsors, is a federal organization that funds the work. And we have very strong partnerships at the national level. What's really important to understand is, while that's absolutely the case, Praxis has an agnostic evidence-based approach. So we don't do capital A advocacy. And a lot of times companies and individuals think they find it hard to figure out where we fit in the system. We're really here to build the evidence, build the consumer engagement, build the research awareness, build a community need, and present that evidence, and bring the right partners together to innovate, to commercialize, to get the best minds in terms of research. But we don't advocate in that capital A sense. But government relations and working through government agencies is part and parcel of what we do every day.
Thank you for that. The goal of this is to try and bring people together to brainstorm and come up with ideas and move them forward to prototypes. So that's what we do. Not have set needs or domains or necessarily even ideas of where this innovation can come to and can go. We want to, as a pilot, our goal is to remain as open, as flexible as possible. So our goal is to try and see what we can support and how much we can support in various ways. So if you have a stem cell intervention, it's probably not something that can be developed in 3 to 4 months. However, we have clinicians in our networks that we will try and put you with and experts to try and figure out a plan of how to develop your idea towards commercialization. There are things that you need to think of when you're translating any kind of knowledge or research fundamentally from beginning towards product. And that means that although you may not be able to develop the cell line during the time of this challenge, we can introduce you to experts that you can talk to about framing and developing your idea for funding. How will you bring innovators with end users? Will it be through getting to know participants and users and being so-called matchmakers? Well, yeah, we're going to invite them. We're going to ask them for their opinions and help. And just like we're going to ask people to participate. So we're going to match people, and we're going to, what we're trying to do is provide an open sandbox for people to come and play together. And that's basically it. And I think if there are people that have needs and people who want to help address those needs, and then there are people who want to play together, we're going to have a great time over the next 5-6 months.
Can I jump in here with a slight additional point? So it's really important to recognize, how you're engaging an end user. Are they a co-founder? Are they a collaborator? Or are they providing you input? Because one of the things we work with all day is if they're providing input, I understand your entrepreneurial budget, but you need to recognize their time and I need to value their time. And so that involves, it might involve a gift card. It might involve asking them, what could you do in exchange? Because we see in the healthcare space, a lot of end users who have limited time and also, have sometimes below average household income, you're taking their time, or not you, but founders taking their time without realizing the implications. So be really thoughtful around, yes, we'll create a sandbox. We want it to be free flowing, but as a founder or potential founder, think through how you're engaging. Are they a co-founder? Are they a collaborator? Are they providing input? And if you, in the next session with John and Richard, they'll walk you through that and use that as a great opportunity. John and Richard are awesome. They're really open to your questions to figure out how you want to engage in a smart way. If you're not sure, it's totally okay to not be sure. That's the point. And being thoughtful and asking the right questions is what's important on that piece.
And I think that's the key is communicating and being thoughtful. And we're here to help facilitate so that everyone can play nicely together in an equitable and playground safe space. I see another question about market size, and these are things I don't know off the top of my head, but these are things you can research and we'll work on in our first couple of sessions about how to get market research and knowledge. And we have various infrastructures in place where we can help you with that research. The other thing, does it have to be a science-based intervention? No. It's a pilot. We don't want to start out by setting limitations. If you can do music therapy that involves making someone less stressed, let's do music together. If you can figure out some other way, as long as there is somebody that has a need and you're able to innovate towards that need, will help you iteratively improve your ideas. That's what this challenge is about. Take your ideas, find people that want those things, and how do we help you move them forward? I have to say this is a bit awkward because I'm not used to just reading various questions as they scroll by, and I know I'm missing some. So anyone, feel free to jump in and ask questions if I've missed them that are burning. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that this is an important question to get on the recording, but one person did ask the question, what will happen to IP? Arushi addressed it in the chat. Can we just address that question up front here? Absolutely.
So that's the one part that we're very, very actually fairly clear and muddy on. Neither Praxis nor the Ideation Clinic Challenge or its representatives or the U of T as the central, so as the lead organizer, make any claims to any of the IP produced as part of this challenge, because it's an ideation challenge. You can't really patent ideas. You can patent expressions. So we are doing this to support innovation, and we are not making any IP claims, nor if people come in with background IP, it's up to you to ensure that you have the licenses and the rights to use that IP. It is the responsibility of the participants. However, our institutional partners, should they decide to fund projects or work specifically with teams, they will be applying their individual institutional policies towards the funding of those projects. So meaning that before you sign any contracts, if someone's willing to give you money for any reason, you should read the contract, because individual institutional support mechanisms may apply. Does that answer the cone of silence, confidentiality, and complete trust amongst us until otherwise told? Sort of. Look, one of the biggest fears that I find as a mentor for the Health Innovation Hub, but also for students, everyone is really afraid right away that someone's going to steal your ideas. Let's not share ideas, because until we sign non-disclosure agreements, until we sign some sort of paperwork that makes sure it's mine. Well, the reality is that any non-disclosure agreement is only as strong as you are able to litigate it. If you don't have millions of dollars and Google does, they will, no matter what you've signed with them, be able to stop whatever it is you're doing. I happen to know Google does not sign non-disclosure agreements because they can't enforce them, because they don't know what's happening in their own company at any one time. So the fact of the matter is, if you have an idea, that's only the beginning. Ideas are not something you can patent. Ideas are not something that you can, quote unquote, protect. It's how you execute that idea, where you are and what you do with it, how you express that idea, that really matters. And the reality is that no two ideas are done the same way, because each team, each group does things differently. So not sharing ideas is actually a barrier to innovation. But also, it's also important, and it's part of this challenge, to learn how do you express your ideas without giving the farm away. So you don't give away your secret sauce. You don't give away your research up front. You have to be able to walk a fine line between telling somebody, an investor, what is your idea and what it may do and how it may help people and raise the money, without telling them specifically how it is that you're doing it, because you don't want to give up the IP rights. And that is a lesson and something that you will need to learn how to do if you are going to be innovative in any domain. Does that answer the IP question?
If we have just a minute, can we address just one more question about whether needs will be given to us in this challenge, or do we have to collaborate and identify needs?
You have to work with people. This is about lived experience and helping real people. If you come up with an idea or a need out of your head, great. But unless somebody actually wants it, and unless it's useful to somebody, then what's the point? So it's all open, folks, but it can't just be out of your heads. You've got to make sure there are people that want it.
Hi, Joseph. Can I jump in for a second?
Absolutely.
Hi. Yeah, hi. My name is Michael Garton. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Toronto, and I'm also a C4-5 quadriplegic. And I'd be more than happy to run some kind of session identifying, if people are looking for problems to solve, I'd be more than happy to run some kind of session, talking through some of the challenges that I know I face and other people in the spinal cord injury community face. So, if someone wants to organize that, or I can, just get in touch and we can do that.
We will absolutely help organize that.
Yeah, Michael, I'd love to connect with you and see how we can get you more involved in this challenge. This is awesome.
Fantastic, thanks.
That is awesome. All right. I see in the chat Paul, who's an instructor from various institutions and himself an entrepreneur and well-connected, also said there has to be a product market fit. That's what you got to figure out. Is there a fit? Will people want what you are trying to develop? And the best way to figure that out is to start by talking to the people that want what you're trying to do. Okay?
Joseph, there is another question. Tasneem has asked, do you also connect us with PTs, medical staff, if you were looking at assistive devices for caregivers?
Yes, we absolutely can do that in our networks between our 4 institutions. We have access to hospitals, to engineering departments, to medical departments, to PT, OT, various researchers in those spaces. So we absolutely can do that. I think that's the strength of what we're doing here, is that we're bringing a bunch of people together to share and figure out how we can connect the dots between people and resources and ideas. All right, so thank you all of those who stayed with us this long. I really look forward to seeing all of you and working with you over the next several months, and let's see what we can come up with. Thank you. This is really, really cool.